Hello, everybody, and welcome to another daily chat with Andy the Cabby. Hope everyone is all right today. Where are we? Tuesday, isn't it? Tuesday today. Hope everyone's had a good day and done everything you've needed to. And here we are again, the Cabby crew, Andy's army, whatever you want to call us. Now, before we go on with the subject of this evening, which is obviously we need to talk about the gas and electricity crisis. I got somebody who wanted to come and say hello.
Hello.
Hello, Jack. Yes,
Hello.
yes. Jack asked if he could come out and say a quick hello to everybody, and he's not going to sit there punching the punch bag like he did the other night because that was bloody ridiculous. He looked like Rocky Balboa in the background. What you up to, Jack?
I'm just watching Kung Fu Panda 2.
Mm.
And I feel bad for Daddy because I forgot about the popcorn. But we're going to do the popcorn now. Now he's in the garage. I feel bad because I forgot all about it.
Yeah, they're having popcorn and they're having popcorn without me. This is great, isn't it? I'm out here in the garage talking to you guys, and they forget about the popcorn. But I have something he doesn't. Sam Miguel. I'm quite happy with that. What's that?
I've signed you, Dad. I had a cheeseburger, 6 chicken nuggets, and a sign that you, Dad, has because you finished yours. I had 2 Cokes because mine didn't want one and you ordered 2.
You had 2 Cokes, did you? Well. There's some people here saying hello. Who have we got? Chrissy Williams, Bloodnose, Lorna McKenzie, Cosmic Wartoad, and David L. They're all saying hello to you, so it's nice, isn't it?
Welcome everyone to the Jack and Andy show.
Yeah, temporarily. Yeah, what we're going to talk about tonight, Jack, is what's going on in the world with like gas and electricity. You know, where we have to pay gas and electricity bills.
Yeah.
And you know, we were talking this morning about money, and I was saying to you like rent and council tax and gas and electricity and all that.
Yeah.
How much do you think? I mean, it doesn't matter if you get this wrong. How much do you think Daddy has to pay every month for gas and electricity? Basically, that boiler there gives us all our gas, and we get the electricity as well. How much do you think we have to pay for it?
You told me earlier.
Go on.
I forgot. I think it's 862.
862 or what? A month, a week, a year?
A month.
A month. It could be £862 a month the way we're going. No, it's around half that. But what's happening at the moment? Oh, where we got?
£2 from Sally.
£2 super chat from Sexy Bastard. Thank you very much for that. And yeah, I think Jack likes your screen name. Marvellous. Yeah, what's happening with the gas and electricity? Everything's going up and 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 up. And it's getting to the point where a lot of people, including these people here, can't afford to pay the gas and electricity bill because it's too much. And we're all wondering what we're supposed to do about it. It's not good, is it?
No,
it isn't.
I recommend building something because nothing is impossible.
Well, yeah, I like that attitude. Nothing is impossible, Jack says. Laugh out loud, it will be 850 quid, Dave Carr says. Yeah, the way it's going, because you have a thing, right, Jack, called a price cap. A price cap, what it means, if you imagine like my hand there, and I try and get my hand past it, it'll never go past that point because my hand's in the way. But if I hire my hand up, it'll go a little bit higher. And that's what's happening with the prices. See, they go up and up and up and up and up, and we can't afford it. And it's got a lot of people very worried because we're getting to like the winter time and everything. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
Hold up, why have they done it at the winter?
It's been going on all year.
Oh.
But it's going to have a bigger effect now, and also kind of April time as well. They do it in stages. Hello, Adam. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Boating live abroad. Lorna McKenzie, James 1. Good to see you. Robert Allpart. Good to see you. You're all in the chat, all the regulars. That's great. Yeah. Also, if you haven't done so already, guys, what do we need them to do?
Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, join his group so you can watch new live, or else you won't get a cookie.
Otherwise, you won't get a cookie. See, apparently, a perk of becoming a Andy the Cabby subscriber is you get a cookie. I've not quite worked that bit out yet. Chrissy Williams, hello to you. David L. Be
Hello.
careful waving that about because of that.
Hi.
What a joy and delight to see Jack. Didion, good to see you. Mick Hardstaff, good to see you. Tony, Cosmic Wartoad. Nigel the Handyman's in the house. Good to see you as well.
Hello.
Jerry Georgopoulos, hello to you. Alan Edge, I saw your comment about Megan and Malarkis, the new Apollo astronaut earlier. That made me smile, that did. Julie Keys, hello to you. Seth78, hello to you. Anna Perkins, Julie Baldwin, yes, we've got all the regulars. Tony, Patricia Shaw, Paul Kelly, hello. Dave, Alan Pape, good to see you as usual. One of our best, good supporters of the channel there. And yeah, everyone's here. I think we've got everybody. We've said hello to everybody. If I've missed anybody, hello anyway. And my apologies if I've missed you. Got anything else you want to say, Jack?
Comment if you're new here. Oh, when was Lee here? Lee Foster.
Who? Lee Foster.
Yeah. Is he new?
No. Lee Foster's one. Normal subscriber. Nanny Jean's in the chat.
Hi, Alan.
Hi, Mum. See me drinking beer in front of my son. Disgusting. Hello, Christine Ayres. Good to see you. And everyone's in the chat. Yeah, David L says press the like, which is great. Thank you very much for that. And Chrissy Williams says as well. Tony, a cargo ship owned by JP Morgan was seized by the US with 20 tons of magic powder on board. Wow. My God. Jack, tell your daddy to check the pool filter. It might be the reason why the water was murky the other day. I think we got to the bottom of that. I wasn't putting a cover on it enough. And the water is currently crystal clear with no problems. And I checked the chemical levels today and everything was all right, which was good. Jack, come on. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the bag, Lee Foster says. Give him a dose of 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'll wear my gloves.
You know what it means? 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well,
1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3,
3.
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
That's it.
Can I do it again?
Yeah, do it again. Faster.
I want my gloves.
Well, hurry up.
I'll only be a second. So.
He's putting his gloves on for you, Lee.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's it. Someone commented he's got a mean right the other day.
Watch this. Yeah, but I'm good with right. This is my good hand.
Yeah, that's what I mean by mean right. It means a good right.
Can I punch you again? Just 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Did that hit your chair?
Yeah.
Sorry. Someone else comment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Somebody just said, Jack, imagine it's a teacher or a politician. Melanie Ambrose, good to see you. Thank you very much. Lorna McKenzie's got boxing glove emblems up. Try leaving it open. Good stuff, Jack, Lee Foster says. Right, that's it. I think it's time that you said goodbye, Jack, and got back to your film and popcorn because you come up for your 10 minutes. Goodbye. Love you too.
Bye, guys.
Say goodbye to everybody. That's it.
Bye.
Bye, he says. Right, I'm just going to go and shut us in, and then I'll be right back. Yeah, the Fauci bag. That's about right. Trouble is, he hits that bloody thing, man. It's swinging behind me all the time. 85 watching, 39 likes. We can do better than this, guys. Please smash that thumbs up. Yes, do as Julie Baldwin says. We can get there. Usually like to get a few likes every time. What's Jack watching? Kung Fu Panda, funnily enough, and he's out here boxing, bless him. Nice lad. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it. Anyway, let's get to the subject of this live stream, shall we? What the hell is going on out there? What the hell is going on with our gas and electricity prices, the energy crisis, whatever you want to call it? We are all in equal amounts of shite. We are all equally worried about where we're going and what we're doing and what's going to happen next. You know, even the kids are beginning to understand it. That's why I asked Jack earlier, you know, do you remember what we were talking about? And he does. They pick up on these things, you know, the worry of how we're going to make ends meet all the time. It's it's awful. I mean, Lorna McKenzie has come up with a valid point here. The government are paralysed as to what to do. Now, I think they're playing pass a parcel with the problem, because Boris was in an interview today and he got quizzed about it. And the natural answer for Boris is, oh, we'll wait and see what happens with regard to what the next prime minister does. It's no longer my problem. Go away. I don't want to talk about it. In other words, he doesn't have to give two fucks. He could probably afford it. Yes, Cosmic Wartoad, we will come to that in a minute. Pretty disgusting. Now, I'm just going to make sure that I pull the right thing over. Yes, we all have the issue where we're struggling to pay. We're worried about how we're going to pay. And a lot of us that aren't, what's the word, as rebellious as others, will push ourselves to the point of abject poverty to make sure we pay something we've got no way of paying. It's unbelievable. Julie, oh yeah, Rob W. Has just said, Goldman Sachs CEO says inflation could hit 20% by early next year. If that keeps going up, then what the hell's going on? Sexy Bastard is saying Fishy Rishi will be our new PM next week. I must admit, when you gave me that super chat earlier and I wanted to thank you, I did wonder about saying that in front of my 9-year-old son, but he found that quite funny, and I'm sure he'll be reminded of it when I go in. Chrissy Williams, no one can afford to pay the cost of gas and electric. I'm glad I've got just me and my cat to feed and keep warm. At least we can put extra blankies over. It's different when you got little ones to look after. It's a constant worry every day. I mean, we got like child benefit for both of our children, which obviously if you've got kids, you'll know you'll get that anyway. And because my eldest son is now 18 and he's in receipt of his own income, he's no longer classed as a dependent because he can look after himself. And the level of money that drops, it's quite a big jump. And then you think, Jesus Christ, how do you replace that? Sorry, been a long couple of days. Got to have the beer. I hope everyone else has got a drink on as well. I mean, let's just have a show of hands. If you already have a problem with regard to affording your gas and electricity, give me a 1. If you don't want to answer it, that's fine. Just give me a 1 if you do. Do you already have a problem paying your gas and electricity? That's what we want to know. I'll start it off. There you go. Yeah, there's a whole cluster of ones there. It's going up to an unaffordable level. I mean, this help that was coming through the system. I did a video earlier with regard to the cost of living, and we get this cost of living payment divided into two pieces, don't we? That was supposed to shield some of the burden, and it's probably already been swallowed because of what's going on and how much that price cap is going to go up. I did a video earlier today about a £150 payment to help with the cost of living for people on disability benefits. That ain't going to go a long way, is it? It's not going to go a long way. And also this 400 quid, I suppose you could call it rebate on our bills, has already been swallowed up as well. So more help needs to come through. Otherwise, people are going to have big problems. Now, we're not all in this together, are we? We're not. There's us and then there's them. And they sit there in their ivory towers saying, oh, we're all in this together. We all need to tighten our belts. And of course, I refer to Mr. I use taxpayers' money to heat my stables and keep my horses warm while the rest of us freeze. Nadahim Sahawi. And there are others. And I, of course, refer to them using their expenses entitlement to pay for their gas and electricity prices. Basically, it's on us. I mean, my mum's just come out. I'm going to put extra jumpers on and go to bed early. Now, my mum lives in a fairly large house, not the largest of large houses, but it's fairly large, and it's got a fairly, I suppose, open planish type living room, and it's quite spacious, and it's very light colours, so there's an awful lot of room for heat to escape. And I won't tell you her age, but my mum's certainly no spring chicken. And she's of a generation that needs to be looked after, needs to be warm and cozy in their own home. And you're talking about putting extra jumpers on and going to bed early. This is 2022, isn't it? Or in 1930 something. I mean, my grandmother and my grandfather lived in a house in Baldock in Hertfordshire, and their only source of heat was an open fire in the living room. There wasn't anything anywhere else. And I remember crowding round that as a kid, way back when, I suppose in the 80s, and Mum would remember before that. And those were times where we got through, and it's the kind of things where you use the Sun newspaper for toilet roll because you couldn't afford the good stuff. Are we going back to those days again? But I digress. Let's get back to the expense claiming MP, shall we? It's come out, and there's other YouTubers that have done pieces on this, content on this, Paz being one of them, and I watched what he had to say this afternoon. The MPs are putting this stuff on their expenses, and it's not just a new thing. It's been going on a long while. I mean, if I share this one with you, we can have a look together. Let's just share this, set this up right. Share screen. Now, they were quizzed about this in the House of Commons, about paying their bills on their expenses. And the leader of the House of Commons basically said, oh, there's far bigger fish to fry. Far bigger fish. Well, to us general public, this looks totally shit. Don't get me wrong, I'm not inciting anything. I'm just pointing out fact, of how contemptuous all this is. Commons leader Mark Spencer sits next to the Prime Minister. There's bigger fish to fry when quizzed about MPs claiming their heating bills on the expenses. He was asked if it was right that MPs can expense energy bills on their second homes. Liz Truss, former Cabinet Minister Matt Hancock are among MPs who have charged energy bills to the public purse. Now, there is a name, Liz Truss, and we know where she comes into things at the moment. MPs are allowed to claim for utility bills at their second homes if their constituencies are outside London. On Good Morning Britain, Adil Ray asked Spencer, if you add another home that apparently you can claim your expenses, there's no upper limit to that, is there? Spencer said, if you have a second home, which I don't, you can claim energy bills. It's just wrong, isn't it? Utterly morally wrong. Do you think at a time like this, in a national crisis or global challenge, MPs on 80 grand a year should be able to claim with no upper limit? And this is where he's turned around and said they're actually bigger fish to fry. So, you know, it's our country, our people, and, you know, we are all in equal amounts of trouble, but there are bigger fish to fry. Now, there's a little piece here. Let's see if this will
Mark
play.
Spencer, that MPs can have their...
Let's just mute myself out so we don't get any sound interference.
energy bills paid for via expenses, and there's no upper limit to that, so they won't be affected by the high rise of energy bills. Is that right?
No, I can't claim my energy bills at home here, where I'm sat in my house here.
But if you had another home that apparently you can claim your expenses, and there's no upper limit to that, is that right?
So I think if you have a second home, which I don't, you can claim energy.
But do you think at a time like this, at a national crisis, a global challenge, when MPs are on £80,000 a year, they should even have to be able to claim that with no upper limit?
Well, I think actually there are bigger fish to fry here.
So it's okay for us to pay your expenses, but you don't have a plan to help us pay our bills. Is that how it works?
Not at all. Not at all. I think that there are much bigger challenges to be focused on here for the country and for the whole world to solve the challenges that we face than to go down that rabbit hole of MPs' expenses.
Much bigger challenges than people paying for their heating and hot water and food and bills and living. There's much.
That's the challenge that I'm talking about. That is the challenge that people are genuinely concerned about their energy bills and how they're going to pay them. And for you to try and mix that up with MPs' expenses, I think.
Thank you for that, everybody. Yes, I'm back. I forgot to hit the unmute button. I always mute that just so it doesn't interfere. And I hope people could lip read. Yes, he says there are bigger fish to fry. They're MP expenses and the bills are... could be argued that there are separate areas, but if you are claiming your energy bills on MPs' expenses and you're sitting there watching the rest of the country suffer, it's hypocritical at best. Totally fucking moronic at worst. And, you know, they're staring us in the face and they're taking the blatant piss. I mean, do you know how much, if you put a figure on it, how much we're talking about here? Really, it's absolutely staggering. I mean, I can show you this. And again, I'm not inciting anything here. I'm literally pointing out what is going on under our noses. It needs exposure. It really does. And this figure, yeah, Poppy's Travels. If they can afford a second home, I'll stay there while they're away. Help us both out. I love that idea. There you go. MPs have claimed £420,000. You know, 420,000. So, that's not shy of £500,000 to heat their second homes since 2019. Now, what I'd like to know is how long are they in their second homes for over the course of that year? I know they're claiming it the whole time. I mean, then again, two names, Liz Truss and Matt Hancock. Less said about the second one, the better. But one of them is currently running to be the Prime Minister and Conservative leader, the Prime Minister of this country, along with that other bloke, Rishi. You know, what fucking chance have we got? British MPs have charged taxpayers £420,000 for their energy bills and their second homes over the last 3 years. I love the choice of words there. They've charged us. Well, I don't suppose they've charged us. They've just used our taxpayers' money, which I suppose is akin to, you know, actually going there. The government has refused to step in to record high energy costs as millions in the UK face bill hikes of 54%. I mean, Jack made that off the cuff remark earlier, didn't he? Where he's saying it could go up to, it's £805 a month. It could go up to that. You know, there's no end in sight. Government ministers were among 405 MPs who've claimed expenses for their heating bills since April 2019. They include Foreign Secretary Liz Truss and two senior Treasury ministers and even a minister from the Department of Energy. Meanwhile, ordinary consumers have been hit with an extra £700 a year cost for heating their homes. And 40% have already found it difficult. Now, we've had that little poll in here this evening, and everybody has said, I'm having difficulty already. And, you know, it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. And it's going to get higher and higher. George Freeman, Minister in the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, claimed £1,565 for electricity and other fuel. Liz Truss, £1,500. Simon Clarke and John Glenn also claimed expenses. Suella Braverman, nearly £4,000. Absolutely disgraceful. Liam Byron, however you say it, taxpayers $7,800 over 3 years. And apparently under the expenses system, they're allowed to claim their utility bills for their second home. Now, they get a pay rise quite regularly, more than the rest of us. They're on over £80,000 a year in the majority of them. And they're claiming these expenses on us all of the time. Now, that is, to me, beyond scandalous. Beyond scandalous. Something needs to give somewhere. You know, we have everything thrown at us, the gas, electricity, the council tax, everything else. And, you know, it's like a juggling act, isn't it? It's like a juggling act. We've got to try and take it from there to give it to there. And there's people that are going to end up in poverty, abject poverty. Is mental health going to suffer as well because people are so worried about this situation? It's out of control, out of control. This is the daily chat with Andy the Gabby Cabby, everybody. I hope everyone is all right this evening. Bit of a shit subject we're talking about, but again, it needs talking about. We are, I suppose, in crisis mode, really. I don't think the government is going to do anything about this, anything meaningful anyway. We've got to find ways of looking after ourselves and coping with this the best way we can. We've had periods in our history where, you know, we've had this sort of thing go on. It appears to come in cycles, doesn't it? And I suppose all we've got is each other, swap ideas, and, you know, try and get by the best we can. The beauty of communities like this as well is that we're there for each other. So, you know, if we can bring these things to the fore and discuss them, then so much the better. So much the better. If you haven't done so already, folks, please hit the like button on this chat. Let's get it out there. If you've got any social media channels that you're able to share this to, I'd appreciate you doing that as well. We need to get as many views as possible on this, because we need to raise awareness. It's as simple as that. And, you know, the more people that do, the better. If there are any new faces in the chat tonight, welcome everybody. It's good to have you here. Please consider subscribing if you haven't. And, you know, we need to get that up. We're having a bit of a boost in the subscribers again. I think we're not far off 31,100. So that's nice to see as well. Another sip of my lager. Yes, very good. Recon Vega, is that how you say your name? Hello to you. Good to see you and welcome. David L is there. Alan. Iceland have no heating bills. Yeah, well, I suppose you could guarantee the temperature all the time, couldn't you? Tony, they want to kill off the... well, we'll come to that one. We'll come to that one. Yes, another term that's come up, warm banks. Has anyone heard the term warm banks? Warm bank. Give me a one if you've heard that. Warm bank. Yeah, Mum, we're going to come to that. I'll tell you what, I'll start it off again. Have you heard of a warm bank? And yes, there's some people coming in now. See, I've heard of warm bank too. Now, a warm bank is a place, a public building like a library, an office, a doctor's surgery, or anything like that, where one could go to and keep warm. Yeah. So you imagine a 90-year-old sitting cozy in their little warden-assisted place, watching the telly, and they need to come out. They need to get on a bus or other kind of public transport and go to a library, sit in a corner, read a book, and keep warm, and then go home again at the end of the night. They're exposing themselves to a lot of potential risks along the way. We're just going to divert from the subject just for a second. Frederick K. Andy won't say anything about his friend taking money from old people, though. Frederick K., you are a troublemaker. You have come up 2 or 3 times in the chat trying to bait, and you're obviously a troll or a disliker about Alex Belfield. I've got absolutely nothing whatsoever to say about this. I have no idea about the subject you're talking about, and even less interest. I was going to give you the benefit of the doubt, but you've crossed the line. You're barred. I will not put up with this crap from you or anybody else. I have made my position on this clear, and you and anybody else that tries this in my chats or any of my videos will go. Blotted copybook, gone, and I'm about to bar you unless one of my mods have done it already. Take your vial and shit and go somewhere else with it. You're not welcome here. I thank you very much. Right, now that idiot's out of my way, we'll carry on. Okay, warm banks. they're going to go to these places, and you know, the idea is to keep warm. It's sticking a band-aid over a large problem, isn't it? And unfortunately, I think people are going to suffer for it. I think people are going to die. To be blunt, I'm not talking only about old people. There are lots of people out there with disabilities. There are lots of people out there with ailments that, you know, they might not necessarily can get out. So what are they going to do? They're going to freeze. So, you know, it's not an ideal solution. Now, let's have a look at this one. Oh, I see some people commenting, what an absolute dickhead, really. You know, I mean, I will mention, Alex, there was one saying of his that I often liked, you know, get a life and stay the fuck out of mine. I think that's very relevant in that case. To anybody that doesn't know, you know, I've got a lot of people asking me for my opinion on that. Thank you, Alan. I appreciate that. I've got a lot of people asking me on my opinion on that subject. I'm not saying anything until the appropriate time. I've made that quite clear. I have a pre-recorded statement, which I have already made, which will be released at the appropriate time. You know, anybody that wants to genuinely come to me and ask a question or make a comment, no problem. But when you deliberately disrupt what I do and this for everybody else, I have a problem. It's you, and you'll be gone. It's as simple as that. Yes, Chrissy Williams, I completely agree with you. What you've just said, you are absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. But on the same token, you always have a public perception of things. You know, what people think they see. And it, you know, that attitude is very much drummed up by other people, and sometimes you have to slap it down hard. Yeah, Anna Perkins, I've not had any of that, but you know, it will be the same thing. No comment. I already know which way I'm going, and I will stay the course. Yeah, you have the public perception of things, which isn't necessarily always true. I had someone make a comment earlier on one of the other videos about this. And when I read it, the guy actually was kind of half having a dig, but at the same time, he was talking sense. And I communicated with him because I thought his words were very wise. I thought, you know, it was a constructive thing that he said, and I communicated with him. You know, people like that, no problem. Dickheads like the one we've just had in here, no, bugger off, barred. Anyway, back to it. Enough digressing. Yes, back to warm banks. Yeah, libraries, community centres, and art galleries could become warm banks where Britons who can't afford to heat their homes can shelter. Age UK have said, and it's very relevant, they should be helping people pay their bills, particularly pensioners, and obviously the elderly and the infirm. They're all, you know, in equal amounts of trouble. And these warm banks, as I've already said, it's getting to and from them. This is the thing. You know, there's public transport or anything else, and some people, point blank, you won't be able to leave. Libraries, community centres, and art galleries could become warm banks for people struggling to heat their homes. I mean, you saw my mum's comment. I'm going to wear some more jumpers and go to bed early. Birmingham, Bristol, Dundee, Glasgow, and Aberdeen are among the UK councils exploring the possibility of public spaces being made if people can't afford to heat their home. But, you know, I get it. But on the same token, these businesses are going to have bloody great heating bills. And where's that money coming from to pay for them and keep them going? It's just a massive vicious circle all the time. The Local Government Association, which represents councils in England, said while local authorities were doing all they can, warm banks were not alternatives to providing households with adequate resources to make heating their homes affordable. And this was backed up by Age UK, who said talk of warm banks shows how incredibly serious the challenge of keeping warm this winter looks set to be, especially for older people and anyone on a low income. You know, my mother-in-law, she's in advancing years, and I've got a friend who could be considered vulnerable because of his medical conditions. You know, they're both equally in the same boat. With prices continuing to skyrocket, life is certainly not going to be easy for many older people. Millions are already struggling to pay for basic items, and with high inflation and energy prices soaring, many face a perilous winter. Talk of warm banks shows how incredibly serious a challenge of keeping warm this winter looks set to be, especially for older people and anyone on a low income. It goes on and on and on. Asked about plans for so-called warm banks in libraries, community centres, etc. Those are initiatives put forward by local councils that are for them. That sounds like passing the buck, doesn't it? Really does. I think that that video is there connected with what we watched earlier. But, you know, warm banks, I think, are just ridiculous. And it just illustrates what a big problem we have. And, you know, this guy here, chief executive of Shell, told reporters on Monday that he thought the energy fuel crisis will not be limited to just one winter. It will probably go on. You know, it depends how long events go on, doesn't it? And you've got something about energy and mortgage costs there. And a few of the, I don't know, socialist Labour Party types there making their comments. Wholesale gas price costs. You know, all the facts and figures are there for everybody to see. I'll stop sharing that on. So my big ugly mug is back on the screen. Let's see. Anyone remember Natalie Elphick advertising food banks? Sickening. Yes, I remember that, Vim Paraffin, very well. David L. Must go, Andy. Beat, beat. Great show, mate. Keep the good work going. Have a few for me as well. Take care, everybody. Cheers, David L. See you when I do. And thank you for stopping by. We've got 150 in the house tonight. Welcome, everybody. If you've just joined us, please make sure the like button gets hit and subscribe to us if you've just joined us for the first time. It's wonderful, you know, to see everybody in this important subject. Now, hello, John Covelord. Good to see you. Who else we got in here? I think we got everybody that I've recognised. Melanie Ambrose. Warm banks will be heralded as being charitable and will earn praise, but it will make people dependent on them. If things get real bad, where will this all lead? Well, this is the thing with dependence, isn't it? Because people get dependent on things. It's a bit like this £100 uplift that they put on universal credit during the pandemic. People become dependent on it, and then it was taken away, you know, and will leave people in all sorts of trouble. So what do? We have a pensioner here every day to keep warm, and I feed them 2 hot meals a day. Julie, you are an absolute diamond, and I bet that goes a very long way with them. You and your partner. I was about to say your hubby, but you're not married yet. I know that for a fact. Speaking of which, how's that going? MP, get your chauffeur to drive you to a warm bank. Yeah, absolutely. What's this one? Spiderlog. Hello to you. in relation to your video about us becoming a cashless society, I'd say we're at least 50 to 75% now already. Been as until you tackle money from an ATM, already pretty much that. Yeah, I see that they get the right ump when you try and pay with cash still in places. You know, it's nuts. What I want to show you now is a call that came into Nick Ferrari at LBC, where somebody, took his 2 pennyworth out on Nick Ferrari and told him exactly what he thought. Now let's bring this up, and I'll show you this. Chrome tab. Now, I'm going to put myself on mute this time. I've got to remember to take myself off it again.
Who was Prime Minister, who had responsibility for energy, who voted for green policy as every MP, I think they should be offering us all a public apology. You know, they're currently building Hinkley Point C, which won't be operational for another 5 years rather.
Right.
They're decommissioning 4 nuclear reactors at the moment. And the last one we commissioned was in 1996. And anyone who's capable of doing GCSE maths knows that renewables would never be able to meet the demand we have. And okay, there's a war with Russia, which has stopped gas supplies from Russia. But where's the other place we get our gas supplies from? Well, we get some from Algeria, so that's not always the most stable country in the world.
Right.
What about the Middle East? We also get a lot from Qatar.
Right.
So no one is taking responsibility. You had responsibility for this, and frankly, I think every prime minister who's held office since '97 should lose their pension. They should lose all their honours because what they've done is catastrophic, and it was eminently predictable.
Because they've tried to pursue non-fossil fuel alternatives.
Because they haven't put the energy security of this country ahead of looking good to the international community.
But do you not think I don't know what the contribution is, but would they not argue that the contribution of wind and solar and possibly tidal, I've no idea, is a way of trying to bring those bills down in the future? Isn't that what they'd argue, Simon?
But they haven't, because we're paying 25% of our electricity prices.
They might argue we should have put more in. If we'd put more in, we might have got further down the line in trying to get more solar panels or whatever it might be. I'm not advocating solar, whatever it might be. Tidal, I don't care. But
right,
surely.
okay, let's look at them in turn. Tidal power, there aren't any tidal power projects. Solar, wind power. UK is a very good place for wind power. It can generate up to 30% of our demand, or it can generate 3%. So, and there's
farms,
no, Nick, how do you store the energy when you're generating more energy than you need? And there's no way of storing that. The only way of storing that at the moment is spending huge amounts on lithium batteries, which we would have to buy the raw materials at the very least from China. And you would need more batteries than exist in the world just to meet at the UK demand. And as for solar, well, we're all starting to notice that the nights draw in. And the fact is that, during the winter, there's only about 7.5 hours of sunlight in the country. Do the basic maths, and you can see that these are not solutions for the UK.
Simon, thank you. Let's see what others say. Very strong view. All those politicians who've involved in that.
Yeah, so that guy thinks you lot owe us a full apology. Stuff you. We'll have your pensions, basically. You've cocked it right up. It's not great. Can't stand that fool on LBC, Lee Foster says. Yes, Mr. F. My opinion of him changes like the wind. Sometimes I don't mind him, and other times I think, oh my God. I mean, he did get particularly bad at one time, trying to justify, I suppose, the narrative with what he came out with. No, it just doesn't wash with me. Don't wash. This is the chat with Andy the Cabby, everybody. Somebody said stock up on candles. That's Alan Edge. 4 candles, yeah, definitely. Welcome to the chat, everybody. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like button. Good to see you here. Also, if there's any new faces in the chat, please consider subscribing to Andy the Cabby. We're doing quite well with that. Starting to go on an upward tick again, which I'm pleased at. And, you know, it's really great to see. If you're on social media at all or anything like that, can I ask that you share this broadcast? Because, you know, the subject involved, we need to get the word out. We need to get this information and we need to club together, you know, to try and keep each other going, keep each other sane, I suppose. Bobby Crush, smash the like. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. This winter may be like the winters of 40-somethings had when we were kids. We managed that. We will manage. We will manage. We are durable. We will survive. It doesn't feel like that sometimes, but we will survive. There are ways, and there are ways of thinking. Now, for the last bit of this, what I want to talk about is what do we do about it? We can only get so far with this apparent help that we're getting. We already know it's not good enough. We already know it won't cut the mustard. In fact, it's all been evaporated by price cap increases already. So what can we practically do about it? Well, there's a few ways, isn't there? There's sod you, I'm not paying. Now, there's a very big movement gathering pace in this country, you know, the stop pay movement, where everything's just going to get stopped in October. There's the phone up and negotiate and say, I'm really sorry, I can't afford it. What can I do? And then you're stuck in the system. Or there's the force yourself into abject poverty just to keep everything running, which of course is impractical because we've got other things to do like eat and, you know, go to work and everything else. And people are already cutting back, turning their heating off and wearing jumpers, not going on an outing, even holidays. I mean, the other thing that will be affected, and I'll be doing a video on this tomorrow, businesses will suffer, you know, retail businesses like pubs. There was a lady on the news today that was talking about putting the price of beer up to 15 quid a pint. No one will pay that. Jesus. I mean, this thing here cost me a couple of quid and I'm sat at home talking to you guys. Very nice it is too. That's what people will do, and it will shut the pubs. We're all in this together, apart from the MPs, of course, because they just claim it on expenses. But, you know, what do we do? Hi, PJ Mosley. Good to see you. There are an awful lot of people out there that are on prepay meters. You know, key. I mean, I always remember the 50p ones. So you stick the 50p in to keep the lights on. My nan, who I mentioned earlier, always used to forget that. And my granddad used to shout, Brenda, when all the lights used to go out. My mum will appreciate that because she'd have been there at the time. Well, yeah, prepay meters. If you refuse to pay or get yourself in any debt, you could end up with a prepay meter. And statistically, you pay more than anybody else with the standing charge and any debt that's loaded on it. It's awful. I mean, this one here, we find out today how much people are going to get screwed over for with, yeah, I remember the £5 emergency, Christine. We're going to find out how much people are going to get screwed over for on the prepay meters. And again, that is quite frightening. Share this one. This is taken off of Metro. A winter catastrophe is coming. You know, media spill, but they're probably not far wrong. Prepay meter customers are set to be slammed with £700 a month energy bills. £700 a month. That is ridiculous. Millions of households across the UK face fuel poverty this winter, when the energy cap will raise 80% up to £3,500 on the 1st of October. Demand for energy is high over the winter months. Obviously, it is, because it's going to get a lot colder. Analysts at the Resolution Foundation said it means typical energy costs over this period will be 3 times higher than they were last winter, around £500 a month. UK's 4 million customers on prepayment meters, who tend to have lower incomes than those on direct debits, face the biggest challenge. They can't smooth their bills over the year. I think that meant spread. Typical energy bills in January alone could hit 714, over half of their monthly disposable income. The think tank's chief executive, even with the targeted payments and the £400 rebate already committed, a winter catastrophe is coming unless extra support is provided, with families forced to turn off their heating or fall behind on bills and run up arrears. I remember back in the day we had an old Calagas heater, and we just kept one room warm in the flat that we lived in. I remember that. Lauren Johnston, 38-year-old single mum living in the Scottish Highlands with her 7-month-old. Her prepay meter was already in her home when she moved in at the start of January. I'm dreading winter. I wonder if she can get the damn thing out. I have a modern insulated home with an air source heat pump, but still it worries me greatly. I don't check my meter. It clicks off when I run out. Means I have to put it on emergency until I get to the shop to top up. I wonder how far away her shop is. If I can wait a few days until another month comes, then I will. I have an emergency fund if the worst comes to worse, although technically I'm still on maternity leave from my job. So that's one example. Look at that. Look at that little baby. Very, very tiny. And there's more of the statistics on this there. What's this one? Let's have a look. Yeah, percentage of credit taken per top up if a debt is registered. EDF Energy, 90%. For gas, Octopus, 70%. Average is about, around about 70%, isn't it, by the looks of it? So it looks like they take any debt off of the gas rather than the electric. Well, that might be some way around it, but that's a very, very, very dire outlook for people with prepayment meters, and you don't want to end up on there. That is bad. Handy Andy, it's 50 quid on every 1,000. Julie Baldwin, Maya 2C has just gone live. Well, bloody well stay here. Maya can have you afterwards. These channel crosses must be laughing their heads off. Yeah, Neil Smith, absolutely. They get all this handed to them, don't they? Paras in the Philippines. Looks like my decision to leave the army and move to the Philippines was a good move. Typhoons, earthquakes, and volcanoes guarantee it will never get cold. Love it. Here's one. Adam, please read this. My poor dad lived in a tiny flat on his own. He used a 3-bar portable heater and a blanket on lap. Never complained, but I knew he was struggling. We're going to see more of that. We are definitely going to see more of that. Martin Lewis. I'm not going to play it. I'll just show you where it is. Come up with a briefing. Gorbachev has died. Oh my God. Is that just breaking news? Alan, Is that breaking news? Where did you see that? Let me know and I'll have a look when I come off. That could be an interesting development. Right. Yeah, Martin Lewis. Share screen. I know not everybody is on Twitter, so I can try and find a. Oh yes, he's on YouTube with it. It's there. I'll try and get a link to this, but you know, I know what people say. He has his fors and he has his against, but he does come up with some relatively useful information about what everything means, and he's like an encyclopedia of knowledge about all this. And you know, he's pretty good at filling you all in. So there's one there where he goes through everything, what the price caps mean and the increases and the figures and everything else. So I will put a link to that video on the community page of this channel. The last thing I want to actually show you, there's a video that came out where they're talking about you know, the consequences of not paying. Yeah, Chrissy Williams, I hear you. But you know, you can garner some information from that source. Even so, I followed him for years, and I know the narrative has changed, but you know, he's still a source of information, is what I'll say. Yeah, there's consequences of not paying, which a lot of people will be tempted to. And there's a video that came out which gives you a possible alternative, which is what I want to finish up playing for you. Now, let me just load this up in the background and I'll bring it to you and see what you think of this. Okay, now this is a guy that claims to be an ex-employee in the energy industry, and he basically tells you some advice, and I will play it for you right now as a last thing. Yeah, Martin Lewis taught me a lot years ago from reading about how to deal with consumer debt. A lot of knowledge I've retained where I've tried to help people over the years, and some of it I want to try and bring to you guys as well when I can. And you know, the narrative has changed. It's become very much about the establishment, you know, working within the establishment when you don't really have to anymore. And you know, I have a lot of that knowledge. So you know, things have definitely changed over the years, but let's not digress too much. This is a final video I want to play you. And if you listen to this, see what you think.
Hi, everyone. As somebody that used to work in the energy industry, there is a bit of a danger around not paying your bills. If you cancel your direct debit, they will send you a bill, a physical bill through the post or via email, depending on your preferences. This bill you have 30 days to pay. After an additional 15 days of them chasing you, they will then tell the credit reference agencies, Equifax, and the others that you are not paying, and it will impact your credit rating. If you have too many hits on your credit rating, then obviously it can get to the point where you are struggling to get credit. Also, what they can do is, if you have not paid for a few months, they can go to the county court and ask for a judgment. Now, a judgment severely impacts your credit rating, as in you will not be able to get any credit for 6 years. So please make sure that that doesn't get as far as that. If it ends up going to a judgment, please pay it immediately to stop that from happening, because it does absolutely mess your credit rating up for 3 years. What you can do instead of just not paying your bills is raise a complaint with your energy provider, either via email or via phone. Once that complaint is raised, they are not allowed to take any debt collection work on your account. So they're not allowed to send it to the credit reference agencies. Basically, that bill gets put on pause while they resolve the complaint, especially if the complaint is about that specific bill. Once that complaint's raised, obviously do not close the complaint, and they'll come back and offer you £15 off, £5 off. You know, they'll try and offer you some benign resolution to your complaint, and what they're looking for is you saying, I'm happy for you to close my complaint, or something to that effect. Do not do that. Hold strong, keep your complaint open. Eventually what they'll have to do is send you a letter of deadlock. A letter of deadlock is a letter from your supplier that says that they've gone as far as they can with the complaint, they're not allowed to move any further, and that your only option left is to go to the Energy Ombudsman, which is on the screen now. If you go to the Energy Ombudsman, it will cost the supplier £500 per complaint for every case that they have to investigate. So if you really want to hit the energy industry hard, everybody raise complaints. Absolutely overwhelm their systems. They've also got limitations on how many complaints they're allowed open, and also they've got limitations on how fast they have to respond to a complaint and get a complaint closed. If they don't respond to them fast enough, or they have too many complaints open, they'll also be hit with a fine from the Ombudsman. So between getting fined from the Ombudsman for having too many complaints and also having to pay £500 per investigation per complaint, you're going to cost them a hell of a lot of money. You're going to cost them a hell of a lot of time. The admin costs are going to go through the roof. This is how you hurt an energy company. This will also put them in breach of their licensing conditions and put their ability to trade at risk. So don't pay UK. If you want to really hurt them, this is how you do it. Get out there, raise complaints, do not close them, take them to the Ombudsman. They cannot impact your credit rating.
Now, that guy claims to be an ex-employee of the energy sector. I can't independently verify the guy, but, you know, that is advice that might be worth taking. Poppy's Travels, that's a very valid point. What's our complaint? Yes, I suppose that would need looking at. You know, your bill's forcing me into a position of abject poverty, unaffordability. Is that a valid complaint? You know, that's one we have to determine. Yeah, Lee, when I finish the live stream, I'll stick some links in the descriptions to a couple of these things so you can see what's going on. Now, that was a short TikTok video, granted, but hopefully it's some valid information. Well, we've come to the end, folks. That's me for another day. I hope you found some of this useful. Try and get some of the information out there about the energy situation. If I find anything else on this, I will, of course, put it in front of you, along with this, the channel migrants and anything else that happens to come my way. I think we're moving into a mode of, you know, cost of living shit instead of COVID shit. And we need to try and do our best to get through this together. And of course, any expertise I have, any knowledge I have, I will pass it on to you gladly, and we'll work through this together. In terms of live streams, tomorrow there won't be a full live stream because I'm actually at Gatwick around the time where I would do a full one. I will come on live at some point tomorrow and just have a little chinwag with you all for 20 minutes, half an hour, something like that. The day after, there will be the members only live stream. That will be Thursday. That will be after I get back from karate with Jack. Then Friday, there will be the normal live stream, and over the weekend as well. And obviously there'll be some other content coming out during the day too. So thank you very much, everybody, for your support. Thank you, everybody, for the good amount of numbers here this evening. Make sure you've hit the like button on your way out if you haven't done so already. Please subscribe if you've not done so. And I'll see you on the next one. And as always, I'll just say, when I find the right button to push, a toodaloo.